The goal is to align, it sounds so fucking hokey, but like my heart with the character's heart and get my bones around and in this person to the point where I am weeping in my car, while I drive somewhere, thinking about this character's plight. If I get there, I know I'm all right because I've understood this life situation that we're serving up with drama.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Zachary Ray Sherman is an actor. He sat down with me on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to talk about the work.
Do you have a typical way that you like to begin your preparation process when you get a new character?
There's lots of things that I think started off. And probably the most important is getting comfortable. And that is, for whatever I am, I need to feel confident, and that doesn't come right away. So a lot of it is reaching out to establish relationships with those that are going to be right there with me. The directors, my co-actors, even sometimes the cinematographer. I have something in me that's probably like needing to be told it's okay, that this is going to be all right no matter what.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my first step. Like I open myself to these people in a really direct, simple, clear way and just try to form friendship.
Yeah.
Because that breeds trust.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to be free.
Yeah.
So that really is the beginning. I mean, on this film, A Desert, like my first request was to talk to Kai and to talk to Ashley, who I'm playing most of the scenes with. And they were rad and said, yeah. And I talked to them on a video call for an hour plus, just finding out who they are and sharing who I am. Because I need to get that out of the way before we land and we have one day of saying hi and then we're rolling.
Right.
Just for my temperament to just fucking let my shoulders down and be able to strive for freedom.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one.
Wait, let me say something about that first. It seems to me like if that's first, there's some kind of a foundation of trust that you're talking about here, that you're going to lay everything on top of.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting that is so important to you, that you need to have that first before you can even begin your work.
Yeah. It's all happening at the same time. The character ponderings and deep dives and digging tunnels and finding things and seeing what's real and sticks is going on right along with it. But for sure, I just am a sort of person that I need that to know that we're all going to fly together. We're all going to aim to fail together. We're all okay to fail together. I'm sure some people just show up and know what they do and they do it well. But I've got to feel close and accepted to be in that life of this character. Because what we do is fucking crazy circus work. We show up and we tell stories in this like really intricate, complex way. And to not have intimacy at the top, I don't know how I'd do it. I'd just be a wreck.
Yeah.
I'd work too hard and I'd do too much. And like getting to know these people lets me know that it's gonna be fine to let it burn slow.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's like, I'm 40 years old and like slowly coming to terms with like my anxiousness and my like low self-esteem that's coupled with like huge fucking ego. And so with that in me, I need to just go, this is me. Who are you?
Yeah.
We're gonna dance together for 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
is this all right?
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, you're great, man. And I say, no, you're fucking great. And then we it's like, I have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. But it's also making me think when people don't do that, then they have to do something else on the day that's taking away from the work. And it's actually, or they're ignoring this entirely and they're operating solo.
Exactly.
And I'm feeling it as an audience.
Yeah.
I believe I do feel it. I can feel that.
Yeah.
It's just I can't I can't point it out.
Yeah.
But this is you're actually starting the communal thing of film.
If we're gonna live in this story, we've got to live with each other.
Yeah.
And that's where I think this moment to moment work can really, hopefully, be fucking transcendent and honest.
Yes.
Because we've got all that out of the way.
Yeah.
And then character lays on top of that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Because you're going to be doing crazy things.
That's right.
And and using yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then what else, and then what were you going to say? Then
Then I think there's just character work. You know, it's just letting that text breathe through me and let it really percolate over time without doing much hard analysis. Like, if luckily a lot of times I do have time, and I think about it all the fucking time, and it's the goal is to align. It sounds so fucking hokey, but like my heart with the character's heart, and get my bones around and in this person to the point where I am weeping in my car, while I drive somewhere, thinking about this character's plight. If I get there, I know I'm all right because I've understood this life situation that we're serving up with drama. So it's just a mind exploration that slowly I try to lay myself on top of it. And from there, of course, it's just basic script stuff.
Yeah.
Understanding the scene.
Yeah.
Knowing where this person is and what they're aiming for. But the heart of it is what matters.
Yeah.
And this person's wounds and this person's, I mean, a lot of times it's that. It's like, where are they hurting?
Yeah.
And how do they cover that? How do they lean into that?
Yeah. Do you have to find a way to like them, you yourself?
Yeah. Because I'm them. Yeah. When I'm doing the work, I'm playing them, but I am them when action is on.
Yeah.
You know, I did this movie Cuck. This kid doesn't love himself much, if at all, but he's a person. Yeah. He's hurting. I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And I like that because I want to like everybody because we're all the fucking same.
Yeah.
And we all have the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be alive. And that's that lining up, me and Ronnie.
Yeah.
Or me and whatever.
Yeah.
That has to happen for good work to happen for me.
I had the benefit, or maybe it's not the benefit of, I think that was the first thing I saw you do was Cuck.
Yeah.
And you're so different in that physically.
Yeah.
You gained weight for that, a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, you're different in every movie. You've changed appearance in every movie. I didn't know what I was going to see today.
And you got a big beard and all this stuff.
Is this part of it though? Is this a major part? Like you have to look different for yourself to be I mean, is it an integral part of your work to insist on looking different, even if it's not demanded?
Yeah, for better or worse, I think so. Like in that it frees me. I'm always going for freedom. And if I'm masking my Zach's normal self with a big beard or 45 pounds or very skinny and a funny haircut, this frees me to exist because it's clearly not Zach.
Yeah.
It's Caleb. Yeah. It's Rennie. But I was talking to the directors of Can't Seem to Make You Mine last night at the movie, and like, they're like, you're so different in everything. But I remind them, but it's always me. You can't get away as an actor from you.
Yeah.
And so that's my attempt to bridge me to Rennie and to Ronnie and to anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, it just does the work for you.
Yeah.
If you can commit to that transformation ahead of time.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, my likeness does not match any of these fucking guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the wrong guy for it unless I become looking like he looks. And it's also, you know, the movie fanboy of me of, you know, 16 years old and seeing De Niro in Raging Bull, and it's seeing Christian Bale do what Christian Bale does. This stuff is, and Gary Oldman, that guy's a magician.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how he is that skilled to change everything.
Yeah.
But it's surely it interests the fuck out of me, and it's a high target, and it's fun to try to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you always interested in this work? You're saying at 16 you're a film fanboy, or you, as you call it, a film lover. Were you interested in the acting side of it?
I took an acting class on accident, and when I was like maybe 14. My sister was going, and I went because she didn't want to go alone. And I was kind of a shy kid, and there was, you know, a few years prior, my family really shook up in a tumultuous way. And this class was like jaw-dropping to me, that we could all circle up in this loft in Portland and start to behave in these ways that are ridiculous and free. But then we're also walking down to the Burger King and analyzing people there and taking notes. As a kid, I'm like, this is wild. And from that moment, it was just fire. And then I, you know, luckily, randomly got dropped in a movie of the week that came to town. And I was playing Kirsten Dunst's little brother in the Lifetime movie of the week, where she's a 15-year-old who's pregnant. And I see this film set take over a city block, shooting in this house with all these lights and scaffolding and 45 people on crew. And the second AD's walking me here to here. And I'm 14 years old, and this famous gal is playing this part. And it's just magic town.
Yeah.
And from there, like, I went to high school, and before I went to the high school, I saw this guy at the school who came to New York and has done a lot of work. But I saw this high school performance of Cyrano de Bergerac, and it was a committed performance. Blew my fucking socks off.
Yeah.
So from that time, it was like, I can't do anything else. I think it's like, this is shy Zach's ability to not be.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I think I've shooken off a lot of those cloaks of I'm shy, I don't know how to engage.
Yeah.
But acting, that's what kind of set me in.
And how did you go about trying to pursue it early on?
It was, you know, that film was like, oh, this is how it works.
Yeah.
I went to high school, didn't really do anything outside of it, but the drama program there was really strong. One of the guys who was a good buddy of mine, Mike Cassidy, he went on to, we all were just immersed in this drama program, and our teacher was fantastic. He died a couple years ago, but he was so in love with the art. And he lit that up in all of us who really, you know, were magnetized by it. And I mean, he was rad in that, like, he knew I love film. So he created an independent study class for me to study film. And he was giving me Schlesinger and John Ford, that I'd sit in the corner and on a laptop and watch these films and write about it.
Wow.
Yeah. But like I said, it was a really focused program, even though it was just drama. But Mike went on to do all these shows on the CW, and came and studied with Mike Nichols, and I was really after it, and a few other guys. So that was kind of the beginnings of, you can make a life of this. And then from there, I went to
And you were always not in Los Angeles or New York, though.
No, that was Portland, but then my sister was down in LA doing dancing. She was on a scholarship. She danced her whole youth, and she was at this school. And I was visiting her once. I must have been 20 or 19. Well, let's back up. I went to film school. I enrolled in film school in Southern California, and I was gonna study film because I loved it and go on the filmmaking side and still pursue acting while doing it. But I got down there and I was forced to realize this is gonna make you go broke, dude. We're talking about $80,000 all said and done, probably more that you're gonna owe. Yeah. And more family drama was happening, some serious stuff, and I just kind of fell apart 10 days in. I can't do this, and I dropped out. I went back to Portland, and I told myself, I'm gonna act my way into this. And I jumped into the Portland film scene, just Craigslist ads, student films. Jumped into a real serious class, a guy who studied with a lot of different teachers in New York, and he was teaching this amalgamation of all these different practices, and that was really instrumental. And then when I was visiting Sarah into LA, I got in touch with an old casting person who had taught a class in Portland, and she was casting in LA, and she said, I sent her one of the little Portland films I did. She said, you remind me of, this was way back when, 2005 or something. And she's like, you're like River Phoenix's brother, Joaquin Phoenix. You're a young him. And she set me up with a manager who used to was the second person running New Line. And Valerie managed me, but I hadn't moved. She said, I'll start sending you stuff in Portland. This was videotapes. You can make videotapes and send them down. I went back to Portland. I made that deal with Val, signed as a manager, and there was a Western that came through, and I shot this tape in the middle of the night in my living room, my mom's house, and I was cast off the tape to go make this Western with Tim Hunter, who made River's Edge, and that was kind of the beginning. I went and shot that in New Mexico. It's not a great movie. It's pretty bad, actually. But from there, Val was like, come live in LA. And then I started, doing the 5 auditions a week. You're a 21-year-old kid. They keep you pretty busy because that's all of that teen stuff.
Right. And then 90210.
Yeah, that was a little bit after, a year or two later.
And was that like a big deal landing that, or was it like just another job for you?
No, it was a big deal because the other few jobs I had were little guest stars on serial episodic stuff. Yeah. And 90210, is written as a 3-character arc. I'm going to play one of the lead's boyfriends. And it's good money, you're working waiting jobs or whatever. That's exciting. And, but what was really rad, and I didn't expect, I got on that set, and on episode 2, my team starts calling me saying, they really like you. They're gonna elongate this a little bit. And all said and done, it went from 3 episodes to 17 episodes. Amazing. So I was there all year. Yeah. And working with everybody there. It's a new director every week, a new script every week. And my goal was to make something that's soapy and hokey and bad believable. Yeah. And grounded. Who knows if I was successful, but that's what I was trying.
They were noticing it right away, right? It's not like they were like, wait, this guy's not in the same tone as this other. Right. They're like, oh, he's alive.
Yeah, they were like, we really like what you and Shanae's chemistry is doing. And so I guess they kept it around. But this guy was a sociopath and a drug dealer and came from a dark family. It's like, it's juicy fucking shit. Yeah. But you just got to make that fly and sing in hopefully an honest way.
Yeah. And at this time, were you starting to get a handle on your actual craft here and like how you're doing this? And were you improving? Were you leading toward what you wanted to become in the work?
Yeah, slowly. I mean, you're trying to shake off all the bad habits that you've been doing and think acting is since 14, which is results, like we talked about, and I'm 20 years later, and I think I'm only getting close to like freeing myself from that shit and just letting it all fly and exist, because that's where the magic comes and the truth comes. And yeah, but it's incremental, but there's glimpses throughout it, on that early stuff. And that's what I'm striving for, but I'm also in my head throughout most of it. Yeah. And now that voice is quieted down quite a bit. Yeah. Yeah. But that was the work and the progression. But I don't think I knew what I wanted, what I was trying for, other than to be better. There's so much of this knowing I was going to talk to you. It's like, I get all caught up in my head going, I don't know what to add. I don't know exactly what I do. What the fuck do I have to contribute? But like, so much of it is like, you ask, it's like, I don't know what I was doing. I just was in it and committed and trying to be my best. Yeah. And that's like every fucking job. Yeah.
But what are the circumstances around you that lead you to better do that?
Great script, trust with my collaborators, allowing everything to be on the table, and they'll put it together. If it's a play, we'll get it honed in, because that's what you do. And then when we run, we can fly a little bit left and right if it happens. But if it's a film, Cassavetes dare to fucking fail. Like, let's allow to fail. So, and you're gonna sit in front of a computer for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, cutting this thing anyway. Let's not just repeat it every damn time the same fucking result-oriented way. Yeah. Let's let some life in there. Right. And so I need the team to be game for that.
Yeah. What happens when they're not?
Hopefully that never happens.
It hasn't happened yet? There has to be a time when people weren't. First of all, what about when they're not open to you wanting the trust right away?
Luckily, that hasn't happened.
That's amazing.
Well, I think it's just a human thing. I think if I'm going to come with like,
even people that aren't touchy-feely are going to be like, okay.
Yeah. Zach's reaching out with in this really strange, long voice note way. I did it with you. Yeah. But it's and somebody could shut the door and say, I can't handle this. Yeah. And that's fine. That means we're not supposed to collaborate right now. Yeah. In the recent gigs, there hasn't been bumping against each other with process. And I'm lucky for that. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm also like, it's not like this has to be my way and it's freedom 100% or it's nothing. Right. I'm here to work with you and for you. Yeah. It's just, these are the foundational principles that I need to keep up front and center for me to do good work.
Yeah. It almost sounds like, though, even if there's not a total freedom that you're receiving, that you're able to work in that and use that lack of freedom?
Sure. Yeah. Nobody can take my freedom from me. Yeah. So it's like, when we're rolling, it's time to fly. Yeah. And
that's your time.
That's right.
You call action. That's right. Everyone's got to be quiet.
And we've already had the 5 Skypes or the rehearsal period, or not much, but it's on the page. Yeah. And if I'm going way off, they're gonna talk to me, and we're gonna come back to where it belongs. Yeah. But usually, I think all of us go to the cinema and the theater to see truth and freedom. Freedom may be the wrong word, because it's like sounds so. What I mean is an honest reflection of what we go through day to day. Yeah. And that can only be achieved through, for me, with like settling the fuck in, breathing, and like just letting it happen. Yeah. With all of the prep that's layered underneath or on top.
Yeah. And what is it like with a director? What is the ideal situation with that leader for you in this work? Describe some qualities and some relational experiences that in the middle of the work.
Yeah, I want them to. The ideal is to care about it wholly, and they do. That we wouldn't be doing it otherwise. Yeah. But like, you came and saw the screening, Can't Seem to Make You Mine.
Yes.
And Sarah and Aaron are filmmakers who work together on this. And what I needed from them and got was that 100% devotion to the material. And as much as I'm giving myself, they've given themselves to the page and to supporting the realization of it. And it's, in that scenario, we formed a very strong relationship prior to the set because it's what I need. But they also wanted to shepherd the relationship with my co-actor, Lindsay Burdge, to have depth and to have history. Because in this story, Wilder has been in jail for 6 years after he was fucked up on drugs and decided his best option when his girlfriend was pregnant was to rob a bank. And he's been locked up since. And that history with Tess and Wilder has to come through. And so, and what I'm saying is they care about it enough to go, you and Lindsay need to know each other.
Yeah.
Why don't you, and they suggested, why don't you guys do this New York Times 43 questions, I don't know the number, to fall in love with somebody quickly.
Uh-huh.
They text that or emailed that to Lindsay and I. Lindsay came back and said, I'm game to do whatever you guys want to do, but I've got an idea. How about Zach and I communicate in some writing, and let's write letters to each other as the characters while Wilder's away and Tess is at home with baby boy. That's candy to me.
Yeah.
And I'm up in Canada working on Under the Banner of Heaven for a few weeks, and it's just oh my God, somebody's this fucking committed. They're as crazy as me. Yeah, I'm gonna run to the store and get the stationery and write my first fucking letter right now. And I did.
Yeah.
And
pause for a second, because this is beautiful. It's like somebody saying, can Zachary come out and play?
Yeah, that's right. And knowing it's Lindsay, and whose work I did a deep dive after knowing she was going to play this part, and seeing what ferocious honesty that actor brings every time, I'm on cloud fucking 9.
Yeah.
And then we're going to start engaging with letters in character. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And what happened, Peter, was a month and a half, 2 months of notes to each other from Wilder in prison and Tess at home that had me at, the climax in the most dramatic storytelling way. Is I'm living on a farm in Missouri before I go and fly to make it, and I get one of the last letters before the shoot from Tess. And it sounds crazy, but this is a world we're building.
Yeah.
And Lindsay as Tess has the words that she says to Wilder has me on my front porch just fucking crying.
Yeah.
And there's a little toy figurine from the son. This is before I've even become a father, but it shatters me.
Yeah.
And what's cool in talking about this is I still strive to be able to achieve those private moments publicly in the work, and I don't think I've done it yet. And I wanted to do it there, and maybe I got close, but I don't think I got where I want, and I'm still working towards that, and I know it'll happen. But that's what we talked about in the beginning. When I can overlay myself with Wilder in this way, that a note from my fictitious partner brings me to tears.
Right.
We're ready.
Right. And that's why that moment when you're getting out of the car and she turns, that's a beautiful moment that I don't know if we have that without these letters.
I think you're right.
And I think these things pay dividends. I'm sorry. I think when you hear oh, no, we didn't do backstory. And sometimes lately, some people have said that and I've been like, whoa, that's amazing. And I'm like, all right, but something else is there. You guys got lucky. There was a magic there that happened. And that's fine.
Right.
This is a magic.
Yeah.
This is a magic medium.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this, but there has to be something.
Right.
There has to be something. And I just think that there's more of a depth there that's going to happen that was probably feeding you throughout the whole entire shoot.
Oh yeah. We had Tess decided very early on. I'm in Missouri mucking my chicken coop. It must have been one of the only texts she sent because it was all snail mail. But because of what she was sending, she had to text me, and it was music that Tess, Lindsay as Tess said, I wanted you to hear some music. And there's a playlist, and she had 9 songs on there or something. And that, music's goes right to the heart.
Yeah.
And so I get my headphones and I finish the coop and listen to the whole thing and go, here we go. This is the roller coaster of a lifetime. This is every project I'm on has got to be the best project, the aim for the, your best work yet. And that playlist started to open me up also in another way. But what continued was I created a playlist for her. 9 songs became 62 songs by the end of the shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 1 day left and we were still adding music that's coming from these characters' place.
Wow.
And that stuff is informing, before I go to bed,
You're putting
this
on
hardship
the playlist.
that Wilder's going through that's wrecking his fucking mind and life. Mm-hmm. And if only I bring an ounce of that to the screen, it's going to pay off.
That's right.
And that's Lindsay's genius that I didn't even know you could come up with this idea. And like backstory, you say, like that really paid off there. Every project, I don't go and write 6 pages, or I don't go, hey, we got to write letters.
Yeah.
It's always different. Yeah. But I think you're right. Like you got to find something to awaken our souls with each other.
Yeah.
And on a desert, it was just me talking to Kai for an hour because I know it's going to get intimate and weird, and me talking to Ashley the same way because we're a pair who knows each other well.
Yeah.
And like, again, I got to get that shit out in the beginning, even if it's just, what's your life story? Here's mine.
Yeah.
In a truncated version.
There's some kind of intense scenes in this, and I'm just curious how you work. Like, do you need to kind of stay at that level between takes? Are you able to like hear cut and just go and eat with people? And
each project is different, each character is different, but I'm not, there's such a hot topic push button of the method and people's insanity of living in the character. And we all know Daniel Day-Lewis is brilliant and probably does the best work. But for me, it really is about action and cut and the in-between. There's no delusion of I have to behave in this character's mind every moment. There's certainly energy level character work that you kind of have built up and you need to keep close to be able to be there when we're rolling. Mm-hmm. But I have conversations with everybody. There's some times when it's like you're on a low budget movie and you don't have somewhere to escape to. So when shooting Cuck, I'm really removing myself because there's some intensity coming up, or we're in the middle of it and everybody else is talking and not, I've heard on this show people and you talking about the lack of reverence at times for what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And that's a real misstep, I think, by creators and every collaborator on this fucking show. Like, we know what we're doing, guys. Let's give it some weight.
Yeah.
So if I need to remove myself and sit in a corner and put a blanket over myself, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But I'm, I hope I'm able to remain, myself throughout the process. I think that's true.
But you're also a people lover.
Oh, yeah.
So you love people.
Yeah.
And so it must be hard when you have to play somebody like that who's removed from people, and you're filming a scene. You're filming scenes like that where people are talking, and you want to engage with them. And be part of it.
Thinking about it, it's like with Cuck. I think I probably do like keep Ronnie with me a bit because, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. My body is so different.
Yeah.
I've got no hair, you know, it's like, I mean, I look in the mirror and I don't see myself.
Yeah.
So you're kind of already doing it.
Yeah. Right.
But then I'm talking to the sound guy and we're talking about his life and my life. But there are times where you're right. It's like he just bleeds into me because of this overlapping that I strive for.
Yes.
But I always want to be protective and go, I'm not insane. I'm really not insane. I'm not, I'm not convincing myself that I'm this person always.
Right. Here's something I don't normally ever do. I just wrote this about you when I'm getting from your work. And I never write anything like this about anybody. I don't know why this just came out of me.
Okay.
Nothing seems processed, nothing calculated. Nothing formed, no thoughts, just actions that land. You're the living embodiment of stakes. The plot points are in your pores. They come out through your skin. And then suddenly I'm feeling things.
Wow.
That's real, man. That's what I feel.
Thanks, man.
It's so interesting the way you're talking about it before I read that. Because it makes sense. I'm feeling that way. You're working in this way where you're trying to, as you say, bring your heart over to his heart.
Yeah.
Connect the bones.
Yeah.
And breathe it.
Yeah.
Breathe it out.
That's right.
And it just feels like when I hear stuff like this, I panic. My director hat panics because I think, man, if I'm directing you and somebody's fucking laughing in the corner, I'm gonna rip them apart because I think like this person just put his heart into another heart here. There's magic going on here. There's psychosurgery happening here. I want everyone to realize the absolute mystical magic that's going on here and preserve this environment.
What's so cool though, if you're lucky to reach this plane and just be by chance or by whatever, magic, everybody starts to get it. And they do start to bring that to the space. And I feel that. And, I'm sure the Chris Nolan set is precious from the top of let's allow quiet and peace and dedication to the work. But when you get to these places, people start to go, holy fuck, this is what we're doing. Let's situation up here. Yeah. And I think it happens organically. There are times, I'm not going to throw phones across the room or scream at anybody, but I remember on Cuck, it's so funny because it's like he does all these vlog monologues griping about his plight. Poor me, poor me. This world is full of injustice and it's all centered at me. And I was doing one of them and, I'd take moments where I'm thinking or quiet and I just keep hearing, and I'm like, what? And I was like, somebody is breathing. And it's the lamest thing to say, somebody is breathing. But the sound guy had cans on and he couldn't hear that the way he's sitting, he's like letting out these giant fucking breaths. And it's a quiet space and it's really distracting me. And in those times, I can't seem to make you mine. It happened too. We're at a bar and there's extras who are so rad to show up and populate the story and be a part of it. But they're like talking and like making huge fucking motions. And in these situations, I just kind of stop and say like, I don't mean to be rude, but like, can we just kind of bring it here? Cause it's all about focus for me and this is really distracting me. And I've heard some people say like, I don't care if somebody's in my online, but I do.
Most people do.
If I'm talking to you here and there's somebody right there just staring, watching, like I'm not on the stage right now.
Yeah.
We're all circled up to make a movie and that's a very specific thing. Let's just step the fuck to the right.
Yeah, that's it. It's not that big of a deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what I mean about how it should be the director's job of preserving this space for the actors, right?
Yeah.
Even if you have that person who thinks that it's no big deal if somebody's in their eye line.
Yeah, but they can be told. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think like that is why this show has made me both less scared of actors and more scared of not just not actors, but more scared of what I have to do as a director.
Yeah.
And we're talking about maybe a minuscule improvement, but that actually is magnified on the screen.
Yeah, but it's very simple, Peter. We write an email at the top of production and say, "Hey, it's me, Zach. We're helming this show. This is a movie I'm directing. I'm so glad you're all here. We're going to be reverent about the work.
That's it.
If you've got a problem with that, let's talk, and we'll decide how we need to move forward.
And I'll tap you on the shoulder if you're doing something.
But when light's setting up light, they need to have their time and space and concentration. When actors are working, they need their time and space and concentration. This is a very simple statement. Yeah. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
If anybody says no, fuck them and sayonara.
That's right. That's right.
And I think it's that simple. And then it's reminding people, this is what we agreed to.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to the top tier stuff, it's just baked in.
Right.
That's how we're going to function.
But I remember being an extra on a TV show not that long ago.
Yeah.
And the take got over, and I look over at the director, and he was on his phone.
Ugh.
I mean, during the take.
Wow. See, that comes back to what I said, like, what do you need from a director, you ask, and I say, to care about it. And if you're going to be on your fucking phone, you're not the right person to be helming this. And is it a paycheck? Probably. But like, you don't care about it.
Yeah.
If while they're acting, you're going to stare at your phone. No, these people are the soul of this story. If you can't fucking look at them, get out of this fucking business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's insulting.
Yeah. And the person, I look back at the actor, and they noticed him on the phone, and they didn't, it wasn't destroying them, but it was just like this moment of, because they were a very young person.
I see.
So I think phones are different for super young people.
Yeah.
Like it's not this crushing thing, like you weren't looking at me. I think in real life what young people are doing is they're noticing their best friend on the phone when they're pouring their heart out anyway.
Yeah. Man.
So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But so thank God that was like not a crushing moment, but I'm just like, even so, they can't trust anything that person's about to say at that moment.
Yeah.
And then you got to wonder, even when they are not on the phone, are they really paying attention anyway?
Yeah.
And attention is so important.
Well, that's why we all revere Paul Thomas Anderson, and you hear he's right next to the camera and with the actors. And if you care about this, which to me is the fundamental rule, you're going to be as involved with the actors while they're doing it as they are.
Yeah.
And you as the director, I've directed a little, my heart is going to be with those actors' hearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, maybe that's hokey, but to me, that's what, like you're saying, comes through in the final version.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go, holy fuck, I feel this so deeply.
Yeah.
I made the shoestring budget movie, and like, it's hard to believe people, but they say like, that's a really fantastic movie. There's so much heart.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from me hearing and me just aligning with what you hear PTA is doing, really investing himself.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? As a filmmaker, you're writing this thing that's coming out of you. You must care about it.
Right.
So fucking show it.
That's it. And that's what they need. That's what the actors need.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you are imagining now that you've been doing this for a while, that some type of character or an actual character that you can name, or just something that you haven't done that you want to do, that would be letting you unflap a wing that is there?
Yeah, I mean, lots of things come to mind, and that, like, our mutual friend Frank I was talking to yesterday, and about character work and really going out on limbs and achieving entirely outside of your self-work. And that excites the hell out of me. And I like seeing the work last night in this film. Like, I think I'm reassured, like, it's working, you can do it, maybe you can even go further. So with that, it's like I want to continue to deepen, of course, open up, like I said, in those shattering ways that happen in the prep that I'd love to explore in the actual work. But the character work of, like that Gary Oldman stuff, I don't know that I have the ability to change my voice in ways. I mean, I try, and I think it's maybe succeeding, but there's stuff like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's always just the next project is what I want to do. And there's a film that's coming up that we're waiting to get some funding and get dates. But it's a beautiful script, and it's so touching, and I'm already so connected to it. I was writing the director the other day saying, like, I am ready. It's like that lining up has occurred. Yeah. And if we're now, 2 months out, that's the time to really be flying. But, the kind of silly answer is like, I want to play fucking Rasputin and figure that out. I want to play Charles Bukowski and figure that out. Like, I mean, the one exciting thing that comes to mind now, my grandpa is a dear, dear, dear friend of mine. He turns 90 in September, and we are so similar in so many ways. We've got a few differences, but Grandpa, when he was 50 years old, set out to run 50 marathons in 50 weeks when he was 50. And this was an alcoholic man, a guy who partied and smoked and was questionable in his choices, was a womanizer. And Grandpa started running these marathons, eased up on his booze somewhat, and he heard the world record. In the middle of his odyssey, he heard the world record was 57 marathons in 52 weeks, 57 in a year. And so he ran 58 and got the world record for a minute before somebody came and said, that wasn't sanctioned. I don't like you. You're pretty egotistical. And, he didn't get the paper record. But I've written a long time ago now, 7 years is the first draft. But this is something I'm going to do, and it's about this, the hook is this athletic feat, but it's really about alcoholism. It's really about infidelity. It's really about being a questionable father at times. How messy it is to be a fucking human. That's complicated. And what I want to do is, I'm 40. In 10 years, I want to play him. And I can't wait. He's my grandpa. He's one of my best friends. And to play him and tell this story, and he's been telling me these stories because he still drinks 3 vodka crans a day, and I have endless hours of tape, and it's going to be sensational, and it's going to be everything. So that's one that I have to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And what is it like to be away from the places that people are saying you have to be and still trying to do this? You're in Portland. Yeah. You're if somebody calls you, they're likely to catch you on a farm, on your farm, which is not usually a place that we are likely to catch an actor. Yeah.
It's great. I mean, I never expected this for me. I'm a city rat, but my wife is an herbalist, and now we've lived on farms, and now we've moved outside of Portland back to my home state of Oregon. And what it does, Peter, is bring a lot of peace into my life. Yes. And what does that do to the work? It makes it better. Yes. Because I'm not sick in my fucking head. Yes. And
you don't have to be in these places anymore.
That's right. COVID was, however horrendous and horrible, there was a lot of silver lining in that the industry changed, that it's all remote, for better or worse. For me, that's better. I used to get terrified in the rooms. I mean, terrified. And the work was awful. And the work isn't terrific in my little room, and I don't even read with a reader. I read with myself on a recording, and I act off of, and I'm talk about the puppeteer watching the performance while I'm doing it. I'm cueing myself with my thumb while I'm doing the scenes. But I still get jobs off of it. Yeah. So,
but they're like, wait, we also like the reader.
Yeah.
He was
but he
really
sounds
good.
kind of like him. But I get ridiculous if there's like a 12-year-old daughter in the scene. It's not my voice. It's me, my version of 12-year-old daughter. But yeah, being away, I encourage anybody to do it. We can do it. Talk to your team. And I was so scared when I was gonna leave LA because for 14 years I was there. You have the fear of fucking going to Northern California because that you might miss your opportunity. Such chained bullshit.
Yeah.
You got to live a life. You got to be healthy and free. And so much of that for me is toxic. That striving for success.
Yeah.
So that's one other thing that's come with like being away from LA and New York and living in these rural places is like, it lets my shoulders down and it's teaching me. And now with my son to like, it's going to come as it comes.
Yeah.
Just stop pining for what's not here right now and count your fucking blessings for what is here right now and trust.
Yes.
And as I trust, I get to see this beautiful collaborative film last night that's amazing proof of what can happen when people come together with their best intentions.
Yes.
And like hanging out on the farm and getting my hands dirty and stuff I never knew I would is like the best way to spend my time.
Yeah.
And then now I can jump into Portland and start doing theater, which I'm very excited to get into. I feel like I've lucked out. Now I'm just scared I'm going to die. I got to stay alive.
All you have to do is stay alive.
That's right.
And not only for your family or your own life, but for me, because I'm a fan and now I'm a friend of yours.
That's right.
And I want you back on this show, Zachary Ray Sherman, okay? And many times, okay?
You got it.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming here and
course.
Spending this time while you're in town.
Yeah.
With me.
Oh, I'm pleased to everything to be here. I think this show is what actors need. It is my fuel. I listen to it all the time. The archive is huge. You've been doing it a long time, and there is so much wisdom and experience in these sessions. I was scared to talk, but I know listening to it, it's always inspired me. And so, dude, I thank you for what you do. And I can't wait to, keep being friends and talking more.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.